Hello and welcome to The Stammerer, The Run, with me, John. And today I'm going to be looking at the Wave Rebellion Pro. Interesting. Hello, and here we have the Wave Rebellion Pro. So, Mizuno with these shoes are trying to compete with the super shoes, and is it a real super shoe? I'm not entirely convinced, so let's go through some of the stats and features. So the price is basically £200, which is slightly cheaper than, or about £50 less expensive than something like the Alphafly, for example. The stack height is 39mm in the back and 33 in the front, giving you roughly about a 6mm drop. About 229 grams, which is about 7.98 ounces. It's got a wave plate, as it's called in here, which is 30% carbon and 70% plastic, or TPU plate, I think it is. It's got this easy energy light foam that is actually really soft, and it's got this smooth assist to help you with the transition. As you can see here, it has this massive, great big arch in there. That's a huge gap in there, and it's got something called G3 on the outsole track here. And this stuff, I do have to say, from the off, is actually pretty damn good. I mean, I think of all the shoes that I have, I think this is probably one of the best, and not just even on these expensive shoes. I mean, across all of the shoes. The traction is absolutely fantastic. Now, what's it like to be in? It's a very comfortable shoe. It's quite a surprisingly light shoe. It is quite a tall shoe. So I would say if you have stability issues, I would, in the first instance, stay away from this shoe, because it's quite a high shoe and it does like to try to turn to either side. So you really have to plant your foot down to the floor. So I tend to hit the floor, the mid to forefoot. So it works really well for me, but it still tries to turn over my ankle. The upper's more akin to something like the Vaporfly. It's not so much of a weave, and I would say that it actually feels quite cheap and plasticky. I've seen a lot of people say that the fit of these shoes is really good. It locks you down tight. For me personally, I find that it rubs on the heel. I took this to a half marathon back in March. I first had these in March, and with good and bad things about it. So the good things I liked was when you put your foot down, it really wants to stride you forward. So when you really hit those paces, it really springs off. For those of you who like the ground feel, it basically isn't there, because as you can see, it is really thick. Now, 39mm stack height in the back, yeah, I think is measured here, but when you actually see the stack height, I think it's actually higher than that, but because of the rules, I think it's they measure 3/4 of the way to the back. That's why they can say it's a 39mm, but it's 39mm basically from here, not from here. So it's actually a little bit higher than that as well. It doesn't necessarily feel super high, but you don't get the ground feel in this shoe at all. It feels like you're on those space hopper shoes, effectively. So the half that I did back in March, it was really, really good for the first half of the race. Second half of the race was me. So I finished in roughly about 120 something. So for me, that's okay. My best half is about 117. So it was okay. So the first half of the race went through 10k in this in about 35, 50 something or other, and it felt really, really good. Really, really consistent. The stride was really, really nice. What I did find is even though I locked the shoe down, it still came loose. Now, if you look at the padding and the tongue here, this is really, really, really flimsy. And I mean, this will move from side to side. The upper construction is there's no real counter at the back. The heel counter basically just isn't there. I think that potentially they tried to rush this out. So in the next iteration of this shoe, I'd like to see something in the heel, because for me personally, it rubs and I had blisters. Even though, you know, I've tried to really hanker it down, but it just moves. So I would say that it probably go half a size down if you can in this shoe to really get the fit back in it. So for the half marathon, as I said, I did the first half in a pretty good time. I went through 10k in about 35, 50-ish, and then second half, basically because I'm older, and it happens to us all, my legs are not as tough as they once were, so my hamstring went. But even though that, I kind of hobbled across the line, and the marathon, the half that I did, the last half a k is uphill, and to be fair to these, if it wasn't for these, I probably would have had to have stopped, because like my hamstring was just in pieces. So who are these for? I think if you are a bit more experienced, and what I found with these amazing pieces of technology, like for example the Wave Rebellion Pro, the Alphafly, the Vaporfly, the Endorphin 3, is that you almost need to kind of get yourself tuned, because you've got so many features at play here. So you've got these foams that are really, really soft, responsive. You've got carbon plates in them as well. So I would say that these shoes are really for people who have a bit more, I guess, a little bit of experience. I think if you've never ran or you're trying to get into it, these are really good for a race. But I think if you've got no real experience, especially in these high stack shoes, it's going to take a little bit of time to get in there, because these really are they need you to have good form as well. I would say the Alphaflys are probably the only ones that will forgive you for bad form, because you can sink back into the heel on these, and these are forgiving. You know, they are probably the best shoe ever. I would say if you are, I would say you need to be quite stable, a bit of experience, and I think these would be a really good option. I've seen these for about £150. So you're talking between £100 between these and these, and do I think that it's worth £100 more for these than these? You have to factor in how long they will last. So I would probably say that if you can spare the extra £100, I would, sadly, and I'm not a Nike fanboy at all, but these basically are the best shoes that you can buy. They can do everything. They can do everything the Vaporfly can do. They can do everything the Wave can do. These are just the best shoes. So I would say if you can afford it, and you don't mind these being destroyed after 200 miles, potentially 250 miles, then fine. Otherwise, for 150 to 200 pounds, these are really good option. But the caveats are the heel isn't great, so you're going to need some thicker socks or something at the back in this heel counter. The upper's okay. It stays quite clean actually, so that's pretty good. The foam is really soft. You know, the actual sole, the midsole, the foam, the grip is fantastic. It's really good. My issue with it is probably more so the upper. You know, this tongue is just ridiculous. I mean, that is just crazy. You know, if you were to pay £200 for this shoe, or you could get the Alphafly, as I say, for 200, the Alphafly all of the time. But other than that, really. So I've taken these out on a run, and bear in mind that I fractured or had a stress fracture after a race in May, so I haven't run a lot. So
other thing I meant to say about the Mizunos is that me personally, it hurt my knees. After the last half I did in this, my knees were agony for days. Probably because I'm old, to be fair, but I'm only 40, so it's not like I'm 80. So just bear that in mind. And I'm a 4-foot striker, a neutral 4-foot striker. Whew. Whew. Get to 5 miles and then we'll overall them down. The last mile. The handles really well actually. It's quite a steep downhill, and quite slick tonight, and the Mizunos are just eating it up, I have to say. It's been up to 5 miles. I think my legs feel pretty good. It's not my legs, it's my engine. Tonight. A little uphill section. Mizuno's in full flight. I just have to say, they're incredible. I think that's where it excels, is once the start open up and once the race. Where it's at its happiest and pod, but I want you to go at it. Okay, so down to a 640. Okay. And slow this down now. Cars are out of time. So this is a good section now to test Mizuno's in terms of the energy return, because I'm fracturing my leg. I've probably done this about 3 times. Not ran this far and had to stop because I'm totally screwed. So let's see if I can get up this long incline and get over a bridge. I'm never pretty much there. Speed trap. I'm not going too fast enough to set that off. Oh, there you go. 20 miles an hour. Okay. Concentrating on this last bit. Come on. Here we go. Right. Stopping today. Back on it. Okay. This is where the Mizunos and wear their straps. This is a jagged, horrible, nasty, uneven bit of an incline. And chill a little bit. Get that heart rate down. Get back to that forefoot. Those arms relax. Nice and relaxed. So easy. I need to start holding myself back to try and finish this run. I'm a little bit excited. There we go. Whew. Let's get this finished off. So, to surmise, I'm tired. I'm not even 40% fit running wise I used to be. But these Mizunos are just amazing. Now I'm tired, I feel like I'm going back in the hill. There you go. That last mile sort of eased back a little bit. 6:50. So 6 miles in. Let's see if we can get to 10k. This last hill. Don't stop until the job's done. As I said, from time to time you feel like they want to trip you over, but the grip at the bottom just pulls you back. Now I'm running uphill in the dark, get another hill, and let's see how we do.
So I'm probably not the fittest. So I went out for a sort of mid to tempo-ish just to see what the tank's like, and yeah, they were pretty good. It was dark, it was wet, the grip on these is fantastic. So how did I do on the run in these? So I did okay. I aimed for a 10k. I just managed to do 10.1k in these shoes. My average pace was 4:12 per kilometre. I did a 10k in, let's have a little look, see what we did the 10k in. Did the 10k in, doesn't say, it should say, sorry, I'm just looking at Strava. So 10k in 41:59, which is okay. You know, for more of a faster, I would have preferred to have just come under, but considering I'm just back on the road and this is probably my third run in, that isn't too bad actually. 5k in 20 minutes 30, fastest mile was 6:30, fastest k was 3:59. So all in all actually it wasn't too bad. Considering I'm injured, have to say by the end I was absolutely blowing. My legs were absolutely fine. I mean these were, I have to say, these were really good. They carried me to the 10k, but I was blowing absolutely just no, but these saved the day. The end of the run, I noticed again, so even though it's not warm here, it was wet. The grip was fantastic. There's a lot of hills. However, the old issue of the heel, again, every time in these, doesn't matter how I try to lock this down, it just refuses and I always get a blister, or it feels like I'm going to get a blister in these. So these, for me, I absolutely love the midsole. The midsole, the plate, the carbon, because it's only 30%, is actually not as hard, and it's actually easies. The only other thing that I will say that I experience in these with no other shoe is knee pain. I've worn these probably for about 50 to 60 miles now, and I've only had knee pain once, and to be fair, that was after a half marathon. But I haven't experienced knee pain like that ever in history of it never happened. So I don't know if it's because of the shoe or just simply because I'm getting older and I've got older knees. But just to bear that in mind is that I have experienced some pain in the knees. It could be because of how I strike. As I say, I strike mid-foot to forefoot. So it could just be that. It could just be when I did the half, these were brand new out of the box. So it could just need some time. So just bear that in mind. But all in all, the run was really good. It was dark, it was wet, these handled amazingly, so can't complain. So what would I give the Wave Rebellion Pro out of 10? So for me, the foam, this easy run foam, the smooth assist. The smooth assist, for me, it's just another fad. Combined with the plate, I think the plate's pretty good in it. So that feel of actual foot feel, even though you can't feel the road, the actual bounce in it is really good. What lets the shoe down for me is the upper. And as much as I like the upper mesh, I don't like the heel counter. There isn't one. It feels like a really cheap shoe. The tongue is a loose tongue, and that's really flimsy. So I think this is a potential super shoe, which it is a super shoe, but I think it's let down by the upper. So for that, I'm going to score this an 8 out of 10. And I'm going to score it an 8 out of 10. It could potentially lose some marks for this, some more marks for the upper, but I just think that this sole is so good, the foam is so good, and it feels so good that I'm going to score it up, even though I could score it down for this heel, which for me is inexcusable. So really good shoe, not as good as the Vaporfly, but still a good shoe. So thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.